you for that applause. I always say I'll take it at the start. I usually don't get it at the end. Quick show of hands. Has anyone seen me speak or train before? Couple. Oh, thank God for turnover. All right. Today, couple of key points. We're going to mix it up a little bit, unlike some of my other co-presenters. I'm going to go through a little bit of a presentation, 15 minutes, something like that. And then I'm going to open it up to a Q&A. And the reason for that is that I've got 30 minutes and I want everyone in this room to at least have the opportunity to ask me a question that's going to assist them either in their thinking, awareness, or direction moving forward. So I'm very motivated between now and 3:15 that you leave here aware of something, mindful of something, or have learned or heard something that's going to positively affect you. So let's get going. Today's Touchpoints, we're going to cover 4 things. First off, how the selling landscape has profoundly changed. I'll talk about that in just a moment. The role of a sales professional in 2022 and beyond. Why process and people matter. And finally, before we have a Q&A, we're going to talk a little bit about value versus price. It'll come as no surprise to any of you, I guess, in this room, the way that we were engaged in the past. You go back just even decades ago, you had these massive walls and people were looking full of clutter. I look at that and it looks like my email box at the moment, you know. I still can't bloody find anything. But the world has moved very much into a digital space. I was just reading some research recently by Korn Ferry, and in January, I think it was 2020, there were approximately 20 million interactions done online. And as of September 2021, there were 500 million. So the way that you and I and all of us are engaging in our sales activities has profoundly changed. This research also showed that in 2018, the value of the salesperson in terms of the buying process was around about 38%. In other words, they were engaged 38% through the decision. Today it's 21% and it's falling. So the point is, you could look at that as being, that's quite distressing, or you could look at it as an opportunity. For me, I look at it as an opportunity. And what it simply means is that if you and or your sales team are engaging with people, they will talk to you on the basis that you're creating value for them. So the days of us, you know, features, benefits, advantages about us and our brand have profoundly changed. The truth of the matter is most clients, when they're engaging with a stranger business, are really saying we don't really care about you. It's not until we can actually demonstrate to them that we care about them that they'll start to care about us. So there's a world of opportunity out there, but it's a paradigm shift, keeping the best of the old and embracing the new. I just mentioned just a moment ago about online. Who does pretty well, not exclusively, but who would do 90% of their sales engagements online? Have a show of hands. Right, okay. Who here has had pushback from team members regarding online interactions? Okay. Are the rest of you, how are you handling? Just open it up, just quickly. How are you handling your sales interactions?
I work with a guy called Peter McKeon.
Work with a guy called Peter McKeon. You're going to, yeah, good. Trust me, that was not planted. Thanks, Gordon. Yeah. Well, yes, g'day, Kev. How are you?
Combination of face-to-face.
So it's a blended solution. Yeah, and that's probably the answer that most are doing. So it's very much, as I said, this next slide is really showing. In the past, it was very much people talking about B2B or B2C. Sales today is H to H. It's as much as we can, human to human, whether that be in a digital space or belly to belly. The notion of just driving sales and not engaging with people, like there's just so many people just using emails and marketing material and all these different touch points, it's just not resonating. I mean, all of you typically, again, more research, most of you in this room would have 22 unopened emails in your inbox at the moment, some many, many more. It's very, very hard to cut through. So this human-to-human interaction, it's building this advocacy around you, your brand, is profoundly important. Connecting with customers, a couple of tips on that. Most salespeople still today go out when they are engaging, whether it be in an online environment or face-to-face with people, talk about what we'd say is above the line. And they're very, very good at it. They can talk about facts, figures, data, price points, time frames, logistics, really, really know their stuff. And it's really, really important stuff. But the truth of the matter is, buying decisions are made below the line. And this is where we create what's called a sense of connection, or a sense of trust, sense of community. People feel empathy, feel listened to. There's genuine empathy in our engagements. So most of the salespeople today are very, very good at that top line. The goal becomes, how do you have a conversation with someone about the top, above the line stuff, but you do it below the line? And so that the answer to that question lies in the human-to-human interactions, getting a lot more deeper with our customers. Just quickly, a buying cycle. Suspects, we all start with suspects in the market. Next thing, obviously, we turn them into a prospect, and that's someone who's met a particular qualification criteria. It could be a low, moderate, or high probability criteria based on your what ideal looks like for you. And then we turn them into a customer, and that's great. But the goal really becomes in sales today, more so than ever, is now that we have a customer, how do we actually create a customer for life? And that is turning the next one from a customer into a client, which is a more than once a purchaser or engager, and then obviously into an advocate. I was just doing some interesting work with some pretty clever guys last week, and they gave me a really strong piece of advice about this community. It's a buzzy word, everyone's talking about it, and I had two and a half hours online with them, and I said, someone should unpack that so I can understand it. And in essence, what they were sharing with me is that if you are known, people, like for example, would go and create an NPS score, a Net Promoter Score. Many of you heard about that. So you've got 9 out of 10. How likely would it be that you would recommend me or my business to another colleague? So 9s and 10s are promoters, 7s and 8s are what they call passives, and then the 1s to 6s are detractors. Then you use the equation and you get a Net Promoter Score. For me, the question isn't about getting a Net Promoter Score that's high, because it's not really truthful. The truth of the matter is to create a relationship with a customer where you can authentically and transparently have a conversation with them along these lines. It's interesting. We've been engaging each other for 3 years or 4 years or whatever it may be, and I've never received a referral from you. And I'd like to unpack the reasons why that is. Because that's obviously something that I or we as a business are not doing. You feel that we're doing the right work, but we're not getting referral business. And I want to talk to you about why, so we can make this experience much richer. And I want you to think about that. Having a score on a page does not commercialise it, agreed? It is about what is the truth of this relationship. And it's about being brave, and it's about being courageous with your customers and creating this community where it's really rich for everyone in terms of its benefits. And so as an example, what I'm starting on Monday, I have a massive LinkedIn following. And what I'm going to do on Monday, anyone that has not engaged with me in the last 12 months, gone. The reason for that is because what I want to do is create an environment of value for people who believe or want to hear my message. And I want to enrich it, and I want them to get value from it, and I'm not going to charge for it, because the strategic initiative of this obviously is what? Creating that advocacy. So if you, me, I, us, our businesses, can create a community of followers that gives them a place to go, the place to belong, that brings value to them, my view, in this new era moving forward, that's the holy grail. So you might like to think about your link. Who here has got LinkedIn and just this zero going on, like from strangers? Agreed? Yeah. So you might like to just think about why that is. Okay. What else we got for you? Yeah, identifying success from repeater. That's an example of a B2B sales process. I spoke for a couple of hours next door to the alumni team, and I was just asking them about who has a sales process here. And a couple put their hand up, and I said, well, what is it? And respectfully, there was no one that could really answer that question. It's sales, and lots of business owners just don't do a deep dive into it. They don't understand it, or they're not very good at it. And it's so critically important. So I'm strongly recommending to you that if If you don't have a plan, if you don't have a sales process, you're missing out. Now, it doesn't have to be that, but just something that you and or your team can adhere to. And that's got 8 very simple steps. Developing a game plan. So what does that mean? Well, let's work out what is the space that we play in and what is the space that we don't play in. What are our go and no-go zones as a business? So we're really clear. Not, well, we all know that. No. Clearly define parameters of go and no-go zone. We need to make contact with people. What is the best platform for us, or is it a blended solution? Is it an initial meeting? Is it online? Is it initial email? Is it moving to video introductions? What does our making contact platform look like? What's that suite look like? How are we leveraging our CRM as an example? We need to build desire. The vast majority of people, because they lack confidence in the art of sales, what they tend to do is they revert back inwards, because the safest place for them is to talk about what they know most about, which is themselves and all the business. And it's really common. I'm not saying I'm not here to criticise that. I'm asking you to think about that. Mastering the art of being able to communicate people and talking about the single most important person in the world, which should be them, requires a skill. And it's easily learnt. You can jump online and find something that will give you some skills about how to engage strangers. 26 questions to ask a complete stranger. If I ask someone that question now, what are the questions when you meet someone that you use to engage? People just wing it. And it's flawed. And I'm asking you to stop and pause and think about that. Because if you're going to build desire, the first thing you need to do is you've got to get their ears open. And to do that, you need to talk about them. So the conversation, rather than me, my, I, is we, us, our. And what are the questions that we can do to start engaging around that? We need to create the right options for people. What is our qualification criteria? Do we just go in, do we listen to what they want, or do we have a step process that really lifts the bonnet and intimately understands and connects with the people that we're talking to? We've got to present it. What is our presentation methodology? Some people just quote and hope. They just bang, PDF, gone. Now, if that's working and that's matching your business win rates, change nothing that works. That's my first philosophy in sales. But if it is not, you might like to think about that. What are the different presentation methodologies we could look at to test, trial, or engage more commercially, what I call commercial intimacy? We've got to close it. Most people don't know how to close business. Most people in life are not good negotiators. It's not that they don't know how to close business. It's not a closing issue. It's a confidence issue, or it's a resilience issue. So that's a behavioural issue, not a skills issue. Does that make sense? And it's about being aware and say, you know, I actually know what I should do, but I lack the confidence. And it's really, really bloody common. But go and get a little bit of help. Go and sign up for a small program. How do I build sales resilience? How do I build sales confidence? You know, these programs are out there for you to engage and fill these gaps. And now that we've closed the business, we just don't want a customer. As I said before, how do we actually create a customer for life? So what is the satisfying of the customer? What does success look like with that? I was talking to the group before about account management. And the truth of the matter is we are so busy spending more time, money, and focus on what's next when we've got already here that are orphans. 69% of your clients, my clients, our customers will leave us for one reason. Know what it is? Indifference. It's not that we actually stuffed anything up, it's just we never gave them a reason to stay. So it's really, really important that that you have in your business around your sales process, what does our account management engagement process look like? And it's structured. Almost all of Sales Masters clients have what's called MSIs. We have meaningful sales interactions. And they are activity metrics, not stretch targets, just metrics that each week, this is what we will do as an individual, as part of the team. This is how many new business or hunter meetings, as hunters and farmers, which I'll talk to in a moment. This is how many new business development meetings we will have. I'll give you an example. We've had a client in Sydney. They had 5 business development managers on the road, had a KPI of 6 new business development meetings per week. This is pre-COVID. And then I went down there, I did an audit on the business, and I said, this is just crazy. And so we took them off the road. Now they've got a KPI of 23 23 10-minute online meetings per day. Profoundly changed the business. So what are we thinking about, and how are we servicing, and how are we leveraging our sales stack or sales enablement tools to get our growth? And then managing and growing the account. So who are we? What space do we play in? We've got to make contact with them. We've got to build the desire. It's like, what am I down here talking about price when I have not built the desire or created the right options for this customer? It's having that front of mindness that will enable you to go through your process and ultimately improve your win ratios and your engagement with your customers. I just spoke to you a moment ago about hunters and farmers. There's a couple of things up there. I'll just read them out quickly. Hunters typically, people say, oh, you're good at sales. You got the gift of the gab. You're an extrovert. Well, my view of the pinnacle, if you were to critique, as we have as a business, the top 1 or 2% performers in most industries, you'll find that these people are not extroverts, nor are they introverts. They're ambiverts. They're right in the middle. Does that make sense? There's a sense of grounding about them, a sense of awareness about them. They're very humble. They remain students of sales. But they're also quite resilient. So, emotionally stable, resilient, they're optimists, self-motivators, and on it goes. And then the farmers tend to be more sensitive. And that's that's not a good or bad or a right or wrong thing. But if you're going to put a farmer into a hunter role, best you support them. Or if that's you, get a bit of support. Because it's like, to me, if you put someone in that role, that sort of a sales role, it's like financial cancer. And it's going to eat you to the bone. It just does your head in, agreed? And it doesn't have to be like that. It just doesn't have to be like that. That's an example of what we do at Sales Masters. We assess everything. If it's not on data, we can't map it to something, it doesn't get done. So that's an example of assessing a salesperson. This particular person that we assessed was really, really strong on making contact, building desire, creating options, presenting and closing. They were not motivated nor interested in servicing customers or managing and growing accounts, which is the account management thing. That person is very much a hunter, correct? Now, if you found that person and you put them into a sales role and got them to do a lot of account management in that, you wonder why there's turmoil and there's angst and there's noise. And it doesn't have to be like that. So I want you to think about, like, when you screen people, screen them for the role. Now, if your business requires hunter and farmer just due to the commercial reality of the world that you live in, you've got to get a more well-rounded person. And that girl or that guy will be a much better fit. A couple of other points. Okay, I was just talking to the group before about everyone says, Peter, we're getting smashed on price. People in our industry just want the cheapest price. Now, I'm not saying it's the case for you, but I'm just using the example of one this afternoon. So you're seeing a few heads nod. Price, price, price. Well, here's the facts. The facts are people say they want the cheapest price, but what they really want is the best value for money. And the truth of the matter is that the vast majority of businesses and the sales assets in them are very limited at best in communicating succinctly value. So they'll talk about their service, they'll talk about how long they've been in business, they'll talk about this and that and everything else, and it's all headline noise. You need to create a value proposition to the point where someone sort of hears it and they go, I never knew that. I said, no, you didn't know that. That's why I'm unpacking it with you. So I want to give you an example of what we mean about that. Okay, here's the deal. You want to catch a flight from Brisbane to Sydney. Doesn't matter, Sydney, Melbourne, whatever. Where would you go to get that product or service? This is an English-speaking audience, isn't it? Right, chill out. Where would you go to get that? Right, most people go online. I agree. So what you do is you go online, do a little bit of research, you go to your favourite website, whatever, and you find these cheap flights from Sydney to Melbourne. It's a one-way ticket you're after. You just want to drive, you're in Sydney, you want to fly down to Melbourne, and you're going to drive a car back to Brisbane. Doesn't matter. So you find this ticket, $98, good price. But to reduce your risk, as your clients and my clients do, they explore options around price in many circumstances. So you go on the same journey and it's $49. One's $98, one's $49. Now both of these are on jet aircraft, Both of them take approximately an hour and 20 minutes, and both of them take off and land around about 200 or 300 metres from each other. One's 98, one's half price 49. What do you want to pay? 49, yeah, most people would say that, exactly. But if I told you that the 98 was on Qantas and the 49 was on Tiger, who here would reconsider their final purchasing decision? Most, right, exactly. So what Qantas has done, and I'm encouraging you to do in your business, what growing businesses have done is they have really unpacked, like intimately unpacked their value proposition and put it into a set of words that the customer, that resonates with their particular customer. They're really, really good at communicating value. And so, for example, if you wanted as much as like Qantas have what's called the USP, unique selling proposition. It's called onboard service. And if you catch a flight on that airline, anytime between 6 a.m. and 7:45, between 12 and 1:30, and between 5:45 and 7 p.m, you'll be served breakfast, lunch and dinner. If you catch a flight on that airline at any time excluding those 3 blocks, you'll be given complimentary tea, coffee, beer, wine, whatever you want. If you want as much as a glass of water on the Tiger, $7. Depending on your status of frequent flyer, it's got a 30-minute check-in, Qantas. This one's 60 minutes. If you're a minute late, in the interest of customer service, would Tiger let you on? No, would they charge you more to change? Exactly. The average passenger takes 23.5 kilos per trip. You may carry a bit more, you may carry a bit less, but that's the national average. Tiger has a 10 kilo load capacity. If you turned up and you're just 200 grams more, would they let you on? Would they charge you for it? Exactly. So it's not until the depth and the breadth of the pricing is clearly understood that what people say they want is the cheapest price, whereas what they really want is the best value for money. So another tip, unpack your value proposition and make sure your team has role-played that in their own style and their own words and their own personality. So when they're in front of a customer on the phone, digital or belly to belly, you've got that certainty. It's like, I didn't know that. Yeah, I know you didn't. That's why I needed to tell you. Okay. Tips on how to maintain relationships. How am I going for time, Leanne? Right. Thank you cards. I just used this tip before. I don't know if you want to... Here's a note. Pick 10 customers, any 10 customers you haven't engaged with for 12 months. Write them a 2-line thank you card between now and the end of November. And you work out, here's what's really good about what I do. I'm either full of it or something's going to happen. Now, for the investment of writing a handwritten thank you card, we could all write an email. Why would I say a handwritten thank you card? In this environment, why would I say that? It's personal. Yeah, it's humanised. So I'm asking you to just find 10 people and say, look, your name came across my desk, and I just want to pen out a quick thank you. It's been a while since we've spoken. I just wanted to pen out a quick thank you for your business. It was always, it's been appreciated, whatever your language is. No doubt we'll cross paths again at some time. Regards, Peter, and send it off. Put a postage stamp on it, handwrite it, and do 10. If you want to do 20 between now and the end of February, and now and the end of November, don't do it in December. And the reason for that is because it potentially could be perceived as a Christmas card. What do you think the research is saying about anyone who sends Christmas cards now? If they haven't done any account management with the client, if all they've got is a Christmas card, what do you think the research is saying? Is that really warm and well received or disingenuous? Yeah, it's tanking. It's tanking. So humanise it. Just do that and see what that does. A couple of other things. Engage on their terms around the timing, not yours, obviously. Stop selling and start helping people. That's the thing. As a business, one of our initiatives for next year is that our client engagement process is going to be this. Depending on the size of the account or the size of the opportunity, typically it will certainly be a 2-hour, if not a half-day, on-site complimentary sales audit before we submit a proposal. And the reason for that is because these businesses are getting moats around them, and they're getting harder and harder and harder to infiltrate. And so I want to go into me and or my team go into the business. We do a complimentary half-day sales audit. We get to meet not just decision makers, but influencers right across the business. We've become far more connected with it, and it's going to step us apart from other people. Most people are out there, quote and hope, off it goes. So not with sales masters. So we're going to start giving, and I'd encourage you to think about what are some of the things that you could do as a business that'll increase your win ratios other than price. When submitting a proposal, ensure it's based on value. As I said, don't quote and hope. And remember, if you're not talking to your customers, believe me, your competition is. So we need to get mobile and get re-engaged. Okay, I've got a little bit left. Who's got a question? And if you ask it, Leanne's got a microphone. If we could just pick it up, please. Oh, wow. Don't be shy, come on.
How valuable is a CRM system?
It's everything. If a business doesn't have a CRM, there's two answers to that. It's everything, and all of our clients who are at the top of their game, the CRM is what we call the central place of all truth. If it's not in the CRM, it doesn't exist. So that's what drives all sales metrics, all sales behaviours, and sales outcomes. So it is profoundly important. And what's really, really sad is the number of businesses that I've been in, Kev, that have implemented a CRM, and it's been, I've got it, if I get it, they will follow. And it's just been a waste of time and money. There's been pushback. People don't know how to use it. It's catastrophic. If you have salespeople or you involved in sales activities and you have a CRM, here's the measure of it. Is it a tool that you could ever live without? And anyone that understands the intimacy of a CRM and the value that it brings them and their clients, it's just probably take anything you want. Take my bloody mobile phone off me, but don't take my CRM. That's where you need to be. And that's where scale is. So it's really, really important. It's a great question. Someone else? Yeah.
There are lots of CRMs out there. How do you get the best value? You can pay, like I think Microsoft, we had a discussion a while ago, that we've got Microsoft where you can pay thousands per month, the free software packages. Obviously different businesses are going to have different requirements based on their needs, but how do you actually determine what's going to provide you with the best value?
Do a complete audit of your needs would be my first thing. And then, am I at liberty to share, Kev? All right, Kev asked me the same question a couple of months ago, and my advice to him and his business was to go on the journey of exploration, research and discovery, because rather than getting someone's opinion, no one knows your business more than you, and so you need to go on the journey and have these people demonstrate to you physically, just take up their time, because at the end of the day, it's what they do as salespeople. They're presenting a solution to you. And if you're really clear on what you are looking for, agreed, you can very quickly reel it in or reel it out. So it's a journey. It's a journey. I would never promote get this or this or this. So, but what I would say as a headline, some that you might like to consider, because I don't want you to leave, I haven't really given you any insight. So here's a couple. HubSpot is one. Depending on the size of your organisation, potentially Salesforce. Microsoft Dynamics, in my view, isn't ready for SMEs. I think it's very much enterprise level. So again, depending on the size of your business. A couple of free ones is Zoho, another one is Sugar. So that should be able to give you a bit of a suite, and just pick up the phone or go online to their website, set up a demo for initial telephone call for 15 or 20 minutes and start getting educated. Yeah, absolutely. And you'll land on it. And the more you do it, the next person that you ask that question to the next company, so what about this function? What about that function? And I've had some people with CRMs in the business that won't even link emails. It's just ridiculous. It's just crazy. But it needs to be the central place of all truth. If something happened to me or any of my facilitators, it's like it's there. It's there. It's profoundly important. Is that it, Leanne? We've got time for one more? Yeah, go. What's your first name? G'day, Michael. Peter.
My name's Michael. I've started building a LinkedIn following, and I'm starting to get inbound leads, but I'm terrified of outbound leads. What's your advice, other than toughen up, would be your advice advice if I'm just getting started out in that space?
Yeah, well, I just read some research recently. The average burn time for LinkedIn is about 14 months, and that's at least one post per month. Depending on what your strategy is with LinkedIn, if it's one of creating value, you'll dramatically shorten that because you'll get people that just like what Michael's sharing. But if you're out there self-promoting or even trying to put it under the guise, it's not really self-promoting, it's about them, but it's actually about me, everyone's seeing through that. Everyone. It's just such a noisy platform. So it's a great platform to use if you're bringing value to others. It's a paradigm shift. It's what I call intent. What is your intent? So we've got to give it to get it. Does that answer it? Yeah, absolutely. And it's also just being brave enough to say, well, look, I don't know if would you be open to having a 10-minute online catch-up? I'd love to hear a bit more about your business. What I've been doing here, I think there could be a bit of alignment. Here's my Calendly link, and if that works, over to you. It's not about this being in their face. It's just you just keep doing that every time, and someone will go, yeah, I like to talk to you, Michael. And then you've got another level of connection, But so again, all roads should lead to H, human to human. That's the goal. All right, I'm off. Thank you. I'll see you at the Connect. Good night.